yogis, welcome to Restorative Yoga. My name is Amber and welcome to my sunroom. Today for our practice we're going to need a couple of blankets or towels, maybe blocks and books if you choose. We can use a bolster or a thicker pillow, and of course a mat unless you're practicing on a comfy carpet. You don't need to really worry about that. Oh, and you might also like some sort of chair nearby or the couch. We are going to be doing a forward fold a little bit later on, and you have the option to stack up your props, or some people like maybe a chair or a cushion to be able to kind of lean forward and rest their arms and forehead on. So that just kind of depends on you. So our first shape today is one of my absolute favorites, and I share it quite often, but it's supported fish. And it's really nice if you have a lot of tension in your shoulders or in your neck. So you're just going to take a blanket or a towel and you're going to roll it up, and you want it to be fairly long. So, and it doesn't have to be super thick, but I want it to fall right along the spine. If it's too thick, the shoulders aren't going to be able to wrap around it, but you don't want it too small either, because you still want to be able to have the shoulders elevated a little bit. So maybe a blanket at the top of your mat here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and we're going to put it right in the center. So some of you, if it's super long, your head might rest at the top of the blanket, which is totally fine. You're going to come and set your low back here right up against the blanket, and you're going to just lay back. And you're going to let those shoulders really wrap around. And then make sure that your head is comfortable. If you need a little extra propping with a blanket or whatever it is that you need. And then let the arms rest out nice and long. And maybe take the heels a little bit wider on your mat, giving your feet and knees plenty of space to just kind of roll out and be soft in this position. If you're super tight along the spine, this might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but please just allow yourself some breath work to see if you can soften around this space. I always like to remind folks that it takes about 3 minutes for the body to really settle into any shape. Especially in a restorative or maybe possibly a yin class, because we don't always move into these shapes throughout the day, and they activate different muscles and stuff. So if it feels a little uncomfortable at first, then just give it some time. And obviously if you have pain, please back out of it. Maybe you can make the blanket a little bit smaller, the roll a little bit smaller, and just, work it until it feels good. I want it to feel really nice in your body, and everybody's different. So I may not quite explain what fits perfectly with your body shape. So I leave that to you to put those final touches on there. But I do want you comfortable. So once you get into this space, if it's comfortable, close the eyes, or the gaze can just come up to the ceiling. Take a couple of deeper breaths. You can fill in the belly. And exhale fully. And maybe a good sigh feels really nice right at this time. Allowing all points of the body that are resting against the floor or pulling around the blanket to just let the gravity kind of softly pull it towards the floor. Kind of will yourself to be a little flatter against the floor, if that makes sense. And you can do that with the exhales as you allow the energy to move down. And just keep breathing. Take deeper breaths when you feel you need to, and then once you feel you're able, just soften into the shape. And it might feel nice to rock the head gently from side to side. And I would like to read to you this quote from Shanti Deva. And I really liked it for this practice because when we do our restorative, not only is it ideal that we are comfortable, but it's also an invitation to allow ourselves to release and let go. And not just throughout the body, but also in our mind and our thoughts. It's a great opportunity to recharge. And so the quote goes, "If you can solve your problem, what is the need of worrying? If you cannot solve it, what is the use of worrying?" So just for now, do not worry. No matter what that might bring to mind, and it may not bring anything, and that is wonderful, but if it does, if you have something that is resting heavily on your shoulders right now, please give yourself permission to release and relax it. Sometimes I feel that we let things grow to a much larger capacity than where they need to be. And it's such a weight off the shoulders when you don't have to think about that kind of stuff. And even if it's just for this hour, how wonderful to not be anchored down to something. Release that anchor and let yourself be free. Rest your responsibilities to the side. It's okay to do so. Again, to deepen the breath. And if the arms are out long, bring the palms to rest by your sides, palms down. And then we're going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to lift the fingertips towards the ceiling. So the arms are going to come straight up and down from the shoulders. And then as you exhale, you're just going to let them float behind you. They may touch the floor, they may not. Release the entire breath. And then inhale, drawing them up. And exhale, float the hands down. Let's do 2 more of these, and go ahead and use your own pace of breath. We're inhaling, fingertips towards the ceiling, straight up and down. Exhaling, letting the arms reach out behind you. Inhale up. And exhale back down. One more time, breathing in. And exhale. Inhale up. And this time, sigh it out. Long, long exhale. Let the arms relax. You're going to bring the soles of the feet to the floor, and you're going to turn let your knees fall towards your computer screen or whatever it is you're watching on here, and you're just going to roll off. And you're going to come into this little fetal position, and we're just going to take a couple of soft breaths here. Maybe notice if there's any sensation up the spine. Maybe a little tingling or a little energy there. And then when you're ready, using the palms of your hands to gently draw yourself back up into a seated position. And we're just going to take this blanket, and you can use it in the next one if you want, but we're just going to set it off to the side a little bit here. And we're going to grab our bolster or our thicker pillow, and we're going to lay it just where we had the blanket. So we're going to come into supported frog, and we're just going to do one leg at a time. I tried to do it with 2, and it's a little intense to rest for the entire 8 minutes that we do here in Restorative. So once you get your bolster down, you're going to rest so your hips are on top of your bolster, so you're supported here. And so this may mean that your head is going to kind of come off of your bolster, and that's fine. You can take a block or a blanket or something so you have a little bit of space here, or you have a space that you can rest your head. So you can take that blanket or towel that you had rolled up before and kind of snuggle it in a little bit close. And then we're going to draw the right knee up. And you're just going to kind of prop it on top of this blanket. And if you can situate it just right, you can also support your calf, your shin with it. And I'm going to ask that you turn your gaze the opposite way. So your right leg will be up, and you're going to turn your gaze to the left. And the arms can come out into cactus arms or wherever feels comfortable for you, honestly. So we're looking for a little release in the back of the hips. maybe even in the sciatica or the piriformis. And I just invite you to take a couple of deep breaths, big inhales. Sigh them out again if that feels good to you. Let your shoulders relax down. Maybe you can find the breath in the back of the rib cage. So you can feel the shoulders kind of separate as you inhale. And then soften as you exhale. And not just through the back, but through the neck, the arms, the legs, the feet, the fingers. Coming back to your breath. If the mind starts to wander away, let the breath start to deepen, filling up the back of the rib cage again. Go ahead and take that right leg and reach it back behind you and draw your nose so it's towards the mat. And we're going to pull our arms in a little bit. We're going to find this supported Sphinx pose here for just a moment. So you have a couple of options here depending on how good it would feel. So you can rest your forearms on the ground, tuck the elbows underneath the shoulders, or if you'd like, you can come up a little bit higher. It just kind of depends on how it feels in your back. So choose one of those, so either elbow to the ground, or you can lift up in more of a cobra pose. And the gaze is just going to come towards the front of the mat. And while you're here, I invite you to find a little movement in the neck. So side to side, maybe a little up and down movement feels really good. Get a little stretch through the throat, through the front of the body. A few more breaths here. Soften the belly as you exhale. Relaxing in the shoulders. And then go ahead and start to draw yourself back. And we're just going to take a very quick child's pose. We're going to come back to child's, but we're just going to relax for a moment. Bring your forehead to the end of your bolster. And just let it rest. Enjoy one more deep breath. And on your next inhale, go ahead and come to an upright position. And we're going to go ahead and switch that blanket over to the opposite side. And you're going to go ahead and come to rest again on your bolster, letting your pubic bone and your hips be supported. And go ahead and draw that left leg out. So your knee is kind of at a 90-degree angle from the hip bone. Remember to make yourself comfortable. And then once you find that space, just relax down. And you may even find that having the blanket under the leg isn't quite as comfortable as relaxing with the knee just on the floor. So you're welcome to try that too. Softening through the shoulders. Relaxing through the hips on the exhale. start to let the breath deepen. Go ahead and release the left leg back. Draw the gaze down and again find either a gentle sphinx or you can come up a little bit higher. Find that space, let the gaze move towards the top of the mat, and then again find a little neck movement. And then pressing the palms to the floor, draw yourself up. And once again, come back into a child's pose. And we're just going to rest our forehead at the end of the bolster. And if you'd like here, you can roll the forehead from side to side. And then when you're ready, go ahead and using the palms of the hands, let yourself come back into a seated position. And we're going to try a new shape today. So you're going to take your towels or your blankets and let's just start with one to begin with. So rest one on the center of the mat here. And I'm going to take my other one and I'm going to place it up at the top of the mat. And then you're going to take your bolster or your bigger pillow and you're going to lay it over the top of it, longwise. So your blanket is resting from side to side and your bolster is from top to bottom. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to come and sit on the end of your bolster and you're going to lay back. Let your legs stretch out and you can let your head fall all the way to the ground. That might feel really good. Or you can put a little blanket underneath it. And let your arms come out to cactus arms. And then again, maybe spreading the feet nice and wide at the end of the blanket. So if you're not feeling a stretch here through the upper part of the body, you might like to put another blanket underneath your bolster, and that'll lift you up a little bit higher. So this is another kind of supported bridge pose. And allow for a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Breathing into the belly, feeling the front of the body stretch. And you can play around with the blanket if your head is resting on one. You can kind of pull it up a little bit closer to your neck. And again, just make sure that you're comfortable. And if this feels even too high for you, you're welcome to remove the blanket and try it again. A little trial and error here. Just releasing through the front body, opening up the space, letting the arms relax down. Closing the eyes, you breathe deeply. And allow yourself to settle in this shape of folding across the bolster. Now notice in the knees and the legs, and if they feel a little too stretched out, you feel a little tension underneath the knees, bring the feet into cobbler's pose. You could put the soles of the feet together and let the knees be wide, rest out wide. This is really nice. It lets the blood kind of flow into the heart space. Really allows for relaxation in the neck and the shoulders and the arms. Take a few more breaths in this space. Taking advantage of the heart space and the belly as you breathe in, allowing them to expand. And then if your legs are out long, go ahead and draw the soles of the feet to the floor. If you're in cobbler's pose, do the same thing. Draw the knees up. So coming out of this shape can be a little tricky, But we're going to engage in our belly, in our center body, and we're going to slowly kind of draw the arms in. And one leg, it doesn't matter which one, left or right, you're going to draw it in towards your chest, and you're going to wrap your hands around the back of the leg, engage the belly, and lift the gaze. We don't want our head to hang back. And then let that leg kind of draw you up. And then we're just going to pop off our bolster. And then here's the shape where I said you might like a chair. So if you want a chair, just go ahead and you can scoot your bottom up to one, or you can, if you have a folding chair or something, you can rest it right here in front of you. Let your legs rest underneath it. If you don't have space for the legs to come out long, then you can sit cross-legged. That's fine too. So if that is not the case, if you don't have a chair, all you're going to do is take a bolster and rest it on your legs. Then you're going to get a blanket, maybe even a block at this point. And we want to stack this up. So all you need to do is maybe move those little fleshy parts underneath the bottom, and then rest forward, and you're going to rest your forehead here on your blanket or whatever it is that you've got. And then let the arms kind of come in front. You can let them rest down at the side if you'd like, or you can clasp the hands around the front. Whatever kind of calls to you, whatever feels good. And then you're going to relax your shoulders, and you're going to feel this, you may feel this gentle stretch along the back of the legs and all the way up the spine into the neck. And just find your breath nice and deep at first as you settle in, finding the back of the rib cage, again, kind of spreading through the shoulder blades. And let the feet relax. allow for a few more breaths here. And then begin to rock the forehead slowly back and forth. And then go ahead and draw the head up above the heart. And make your way into final resting pose. Find your Shavasana, so bolster underneath the knees. Maybe a blanket underneath the head. Whatever it takes to make you as comfortable as you can possibly be at this moment. And maybe resting your hands on your belly so you can feel the breath as you inhale and exhale. Soften through the shoulders. Letting the expression become soft, relaxing the space between the eyes. Really allowing for the eyes to sink back. Soften the cheeks and the jaw. Feeling the weight of the arms on the floor. Feeling your head supported. In the beginning, from the back of the neck, drawing a line down the spine all the way to the tailbone, connecting each and every vertebrae with the floor or the mat. And then softening through the legs. Making sure that we're not holding in the glutes. There's no tension in our knees. And the ankles and the feet and the fingertips feel so light. Light and airy. Closing the eyes, softening the breath. And if thoughts start to wander in, remember the breath. Connecting to the gentle rise and fall of the belly. Just for today, do not worry. If you can solve your problem, what is the need of worrying? If you cannot solve it, what is the use of worrying? Begin to draw in a deep, nourishing breath. Let it move all the way to the tips of the toes. And then begin to find a little movement, maybe in the wrists, maybe in the ankles. Perhaps the head rocks from side to side. And then when you're ready, rolling to one side, taking a couple of breaths here. Letting the energy slowly make its way back into the body. And then draw yourself into another seated position. And then let's please draw our hands to our heart space. And Anjali Mudra. Dipping the chin towards the fingertips, honoring yourself for showing up to your practice today. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our yoga community. Namaste.